Yeah, so I am back in Canada, yes, and I am about to embark on my most shocking and surprising journey yet. If you'd like to know details of that, you have to check out my second channel, which I've got linked below. It's more appropriate content for there, but I think this is the number one thing that nobody ever expected from me. But I am back in Canada. I'm like feeling all the feels. And I don't know, this is not the country I remember. I've been away for 5 years. I spent 1 year on the farm in Montana and about 4 years in Mexico. And I was able to see things, on alternative news sources. I was able to hear from my friends, everyone who was like, do not come back to Canada. But I have to say, first of all, I did not make the wrong choice by going to Mexico. It was the right thing at the right time for me. But I think one thing I've had an issue with in the past is knowing when it's time to leave. Knowing when the winds of favor have started to shift. And I just had so many setbacks in Mexico, and I'm the kind of person where when the waves come and knock me down, I think, great, I'm gonna grow from this. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna get back up. And I did that every time, so many times. So many intensely bad things happened to me in Mexico. I wrote about them in my ebook, At Midnight in Mexico. This is a complete tell-all for any single female travelers who might be thinking about going to Mexico or South America, a Latin culture, on their own. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad. And to be honest, there were some amazingly good experiences that I hit here that felt like it was my karma waiting for me to kind of pick up these coins in my life, these missing pieces, these missing experiences. One of them was having to call my friends at 10 o'clock at night. They had kids, because I needed to go to the ER in a country where I had like no health insurance. People were like, don't use health insurance. It's so easy to just pay if you have an emergency. Don't speak the language. Like, I can have, basic conversation, but, at a hospital, no. And I have been in and out of the hospital alone since I was a kid. I remember, being there 8 years old, and the nurse is like, where's your family? Because I was like going into surgery. And I'm just like, how do I explain that my mom hates me and I don't have a father? Like, I didn't know what to say. And she's like, I'm going to get the phone. You can call them. And I'm like, no. So, with my autoimmune issues and stuff like that, I've been in and out from the hospital my whole life, always alone. And this time I went to the hospital with Mexican friends. And they showed up at my house in 10 minutes when I called them. And, the way they took care of me, and their love was very physical, my friend and her boyfriend were there, and, I think they know that I'm an emotional person. That's one thing I also loved about Mexico is like, in Canada, I always felt like my emotions, which by the way, like I am not, I come on YouTube to be dramatic, but like I am not a dramatic person in general. But I do feel like in Canada, my emotions were overwhelming to a lot of people. In Mexico, I just felt met every time. I felt met. And I was just, crying a little bit while we were waiting to be seen. And, that's just kind of how I handle being in the hospital. It brings up, some emotions for me. And my friend was like holding on to me. She was like kissing my cheek. She was like holding my hands and kissing my hands. And like, it was a little bit startling. And to me, it was a little bit like, you know, kind of a little bit out of my comfort zone. But just to be met emotionally and held in my physicality as a human creature, and to receive that kind of comfort and care in that moment, like it really kind of changed something for me. I also wrote about in my ebook At Midnight in Mexico how the landlady tried to completely screw me over, and there was a man who had kind of taken a shine to me from Mexico City in my building, and he had a daughter who drowned who would have been my age, he told me. And yeah, he came and helped me and stood up for me, and there was no confrontation and everything went fine, because of my connections. All of my experiences in Mexico came about through my connections, but it did just hit a point where I just had so many setbacks. I was like, everything is pointing to the fact that I need to leave. And I was thinking of other places to go, places that won't have too much government overreach, places that will have, you know, affordable housing, places that will be conducive to entrepreneurs and not try to ruin things, places that will have delicious, fresh food. And it ultimately came down to knowing that it's time to come back to Canada. And I've been here for less than a week. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I still have like some Mexico swag on me or something, but like people are just like tracking me when I'm walking down the street and smiling nicely at me and saying hi. And like people are going out of their way to try to help me. I don't know what it is. I've got like a bunch of people's phone numbers just from like strangers I have met when I'm out and about. And so it's like kind of giving me more confidence. So like if I'm out and someone's walking towards me, I can see they got a glimmer in their eye and they're looking at me and smiling, I'll say hi to them and I'll just say, "Where are you going?" Like just like deadpan, "Where are you going?" And it's like really funny because they'll answer me, you know what I mean? Just like, I don't know. I think people here are really desperate for meaningful connection, and maybe that's why I'm supposed to be here now, because I love putting on events. I love, you know, connecting and meeting with people. And one of the friends who I met with, he was just like, "You have a really beautiful vibe." And I keep hearing this from people and I'm like, I don't know. I part of me is like, it's because I've changed. Like I'm a completely different animal than I was 5 years ago. You know, after the marriage, the divorce, you know, and every crazy, terrible and beautiful and intensely deep experience that I had in Mexico, like I'm completely different. And there's something that's a shine on me. And I'm kind of thinking like, how do I keep this? How do I keep this about me? Because I'm noticing in Canada, that's the dishwasher. I'm noticing in Canada that there is a definite kind of despair, definite kind of hopelessness. All right, I'm back. But all I can say is it's super nice to be back home. It is really nice to drink tap water without fear. It's nice to have access to some of the foods that I have missed, like to go into a store and buy a jar of pickles is pretty amazing feeling. I have a lot of sticker shock as well. I'm completely gagged. Like my jaw was hanging open looking at the prices of skincare and makeup here. Now I absolutely can't believe it. And I feel really disoriented. I'm aware that it's very common to have an experience of reverse culture shock. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm trying to mitigate that while just, breathing into this new experience. Because I'll be honest, like, I'm nervous. I feel like I feel welcomed back, but I also kind of feel like I don't really belong here. Like, that is very, which is how I felt before, which is how I felt in Mexico. And I think traveling, visiting other countries, being, on one's own in these countries, you really start to feel this. And I've always kind of felt like an alien. I really have. So none of this is new to me. We're going to see what happens. The night before I left Mexico was a little bit hectic as usual, finishing up around the apartment, handing off Maurice to her new home, and I invited friends over to take whatever items they wanted that I had accumulated over these past 4 years. For some reason, every time I am moving from a place, that's when I start meeting the most beautiful people. It might be because I always have a lot of stuff to offload, and the kind of people who are interested in, metaphysical books and vitamins and cat stuff are kind of like my people. So this girl was calling me about Maurice, and look, she even tried writing in English. I am so freaking touched. This is the thing that has had me crying all day. So I wrote her back. ¿Sabes que hay gente que parece fantasmas? Ghosting. Hoy en día. Así que por favor me puedes contar. ¿Tú también tienes mascotas? I'll send her this cute message. Basically means thanks for writing me. We have a place for Maurice. Thanks for reaching out. But if these people are ghosts, can I contact you? Yeah, I love biology, actually.
Farmer to veterinarian.
Yeah, that was what I wanted.
You can take a lot of even medicine.
Please. We got video.
Hey, come on.
Wish I had taken video of when my friend Iris came to pick up Maurice, but I was so rattled by her leaving that I didn't get around to it. Iris is just beautiful, beautiful young woman, and we met because she used to bring cat food for the cats on my street, and I would see her pull over and open her trunk and feed them every day. We became friends, and we started texting each other just about cats. And so when the time came for me to leave, she agreed happily to take Maurice. And now I begin the next part of my journey back home to Canada. Mexico was like a fever dream. I still can't quite believe that it was real. This song applies to me, literally and metaphorically. Mexico City is the loudest airport I've ever encountered in my life. The vibe of this smog out there. The vibe of this airport is not gelling with me, and I'm gonna be here for another 6 hours. And I remember thinking, I'm a really bad traveler, to be honest. I am such a bad traveler. And I remember thinking, why would I waste money? I didn't even consider wasting money. I was just like, oh, I get 2 bags. I'll just bring 2 like big, Walmart bags. Cool. I know I'm not traveling in style. I don't give a shit. I want to put my money towards my new life. But I realize now, no, I forget every time. I need a bag with wheels. There's literally, I saw only one little granny who had a bag like me. When you don't have a bag with wheels, I was thinking I'll get a trolley at the airport. No, they don't have those up here anymore. So I'm the bag lady. Oh my god, I feel very happy to be home. The customs border guys was a little intense and kind of scared me a bit, but he just asked me like 2 questions or 3 questions, and then he's like, okay, that's it. And I could very clearly tell these are people who personally love power trips. I could tell. And then he said to the other guy after I left, he's like, see, nice and easy, no blah blah blah, whatever. I don't know. The questions he asked me were, he's like, oh, what resort did you stay at in Mexico? I'm like, I didn't stay at a resort. He's like, oh, well, where did you stay or whatever? Why'd you go there? I was like, for the cheap rent and the hot sun. And then he's like, oh, well, what do you do for work? And I was like, I did not expect to get that. I still don't know how to answer that question. So I'm like, I'm a YouTuber. I was living off my savings. I don't know. He's like, I'm like, I got divorced. He's like, oh, okay, it was one of those years. I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. You know, but I hate having to explain my life to anybody. But it's a small price to pay to be here. It's so clean, so quiet, so beautiful and safe seeming. And I know it's not perfectly safe or anything else, but yeah, it just feels so much. Oh, I feel like I can breathe. I feel like I can breathe. I was always on edge there, all the time. And you know, I'm on edge in places in Canada too. That's true as well, but it feels so good to be back. I remember walking up to the lady at the desk and feeling really nervous about it and trying to think of the way to say it in another language in my head, and then she spoke English to me and I was like, oh my god, this is a norm for me now. I don't have to stress out every time I have to talk to or ask someone for something to try to translate it in my head first. So that's great.